Alright, if you're looking to build the best PC on a budget during these times, then you came to the right video. What's up guys, ProdiJay here, and here's the ultimate $500 PC of 2020. And just for a disclaimer, I do not own all these items, but instead I make sure to research everything and look up the benchmarks for them, and I won't be including the cost of Windows as this video is dedicated to the parts of the build. Now starting off, we're going to be needing a good budget CPU that'll give us nice performance in games and be good for productivity, which is why for this build I picked up the AMD Ryzen 5 1600 going for about $105 right now on Amazon. And don't underestimate this Ryzen CPU because although the base clock is 3.2 GHz, it has a max precision boost of 3.6 GHz, which even still can be overclocked fairly well with the stock cooler, even reaching 4 GHz. But regardless, this CPU has a lot of value as it has 6 cores and 12 threads, which is quite good for productivity if you plan on becoming a content creator. Now the main reason why I chose an AMD CPU instead of an Intel CPU is because they're cheaper than Intel in most cases, and the CPU's cores are taken advantage of when doing gaming, video editing, or just anything productivity wise. And when it comes to CPUs, the Ryzen 5 1600 has one of the best price and performance ratios. So overall, if you're the person that wants to play games with good performance, or if you want to make YouTube videos or anything productivity wise, this Ryzen CPU is the one for you. Next up, we're going to be needing a solid motherboard for this build, which is why I decided to pick out the Gigabyte A320M Micro GTX motherboard, coming in at $55. It has an AM4 socket type, so you do have the option to upgrade to a better Ryzen CPU in the future. But because this motherboard is not a B450M model, you will need a flash or BIOS update, which I will leave a link in the description to a simple tutorial. And before I move on to the next part in this build, I will note that this motherboard only comes with 2 RAM slots. So if you wanted to add more RAM in the future, you would have to buy a different AM4 motherboard. But I will be leaving better alternative parts in the description down below if you guys want to make this PC build slightly better. But overall, there isn't too much to say about this motherboard as it does come with most of the socket types that you'll be wanting to use, and in the end, it'll fit our needs for this build. Moving on, we're going to be needing some memory, which is why I picked out 16GB of DDR4 RAM clocked at 3000 MHz from Alloy, coming in at $60. And this is a pretty good deal considering that most DDR4 RAM sticks are more expensive than this. And also, you'll be able to dual channel with the 2 to 8GB of RAM, allowing the PC to work faster, and this is necessary as Ryzen CPUs need a good amount of RAM to perform efficiently. And although I decided to lower the budget for certain parts, I made sure to make up for it in parts like this, but overall this RAM will still perform quite well, especially when it comes to opening up programs and games. And now moving on to the graphics card, we're going to want one that's going to allow the PC to play most modern games at a good performance, but at the same time find one that can fit our budget, which is why I picked out a 4GB GTX 1650 going for about $160. And with a base clock of 1710 MHz with lots of room to overclock, this GPU is going to be able to deliver 60 FPS for most games. And although there is 4GB of VRAM, this graphics card performs quite well when gaming and is quite good at managing its temperature to avoid overheating. And because this GPU is quite new, it'll definitely last longer than its competitors like the RX 580 for example. But in the end, if you combine both this GPU and the Ryzen CPU, you'll be able to play most modern games at 1080p at 60 FPS quite smoothly. Next up for storage, I chose the ADATA 240GB SSD coming in at $30. Now because prices on Amazon are kinda wild at the moment, I decided to choose a budget SSD over a hard drive as SSDs are faster, more durable, and use less energy. But because this SSD is only 240GB, I would definitely recommend getting an additional hard drive, possibly with 1TB of storage because 1000GB is going to last you a very long time. But overall, if you get this SSD, definitely put your Windows on this because an SSD has the awesome benefit of loading your programs faster. Now getting near the end, we're going to be needing a power supply to power up our PC, which is why I decided to pick out a Thermaltake 500W power supply going for $45. And what I like about this power supply is that this is more than enough to power up this PC, as the most amount of power the PC will need is about 300 watts. And also, this gives us some room for upgrades in the future, like if you wanted to upgrade the CPU for example. And for more reassurance, you get a 5-year warranty on the power supply if something actually does happen to it. But I think you guys will be fine as this power supply is 80+ certified. And then finally, for our last part, we're going to be needing a budget case for our PC because as you all know, all of our parts are going to be stored inside of it, which is why I picked out a mid-tower case from Antec coming in at $40. Now this case isn't really special, but it pretty much has everything we need. It comes with 5 drive bays, 4 expansion slots, and 1 rear exhaust fan. So overall, this case is pretty much minimalistic, but because of how prices are currently, this is honestly one of the best options I could find. But in the end, the main key to making a good budget PC is using a budget case, because although you could spend a crap ton of money for a dope expensive RGB case, it would be better money spent if you manage your money wisely for one, as this would allow you to spend more money on better parts like a better graphics card or CPU. But in the end, you guys could look at some other case that's cheaper or looks better than this one if you so please. And now if we add up the prices from all these parts, it's gonna total to about $495 before tax. And looking back through all these parts, you're gonna have possibly one of the best budget PCs that'll provide you nice performance at 1080p, getting about 60 FPS at the minimum for most games when playing on high settings. And if you want to see a general idea of how this PC performs, I'll make sure to link down below some benchmark tests. But in the end guys, the best part about this PC build is that there's always going to be room to upgrade certain parts. And before I end off the video, I do want to mention that since the PC parts are from Amazon, the prices are always subject to change and certain parts may run low in stock depending on the time and date. So I would recommend getting whatever items you want as fast as possible before the prices or stock changes for the worst. But I think that's gonna wrap it up, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, drop a like and subscribe for more quality content like this, because I do love making videos like this one. Also, if you guys can, come join my Discord and link down below, as I do want to grow my community and because I do love talking to my fans. Also, go follow me on Twitter because I do love to give updates on the channel and because I do Steam game giveaways on there. So if you want to possibly win a free PC game, go follow me on Twitter so you're ready for my next giveaway. But anyways guys, thanks for watching, and be sure to have notifications on so you won't miss any of my videos. My name's ProdiJay, and as always, stay classy.